So in previous video, we learned about the basics of GCP network. Now I'll demonstrate how to create a VPC in the Google Cloud. So first we'll look for the VPC network. Click on VPC network. Click create VPC network. Give us one name. I'll give VPC01. Create a subnet in one of the region. Subnet 1 send 1. I'll select US Central 1 and the range I'll give 10.0.1.0/24. Done. So I have created only one subnet in one region. So likewise, if I have to create another subnet in another region, as an example, US West 1, VPC 01, subnet 1, US West 1. Make sure that the IP range which we are specifying, it should not be interfering. So I use 01.0/24 in the center. It should not be 1. So it can be 2. Make sure IPs should not be interfering while creating custom IP subnet. So this is a way how we create the custom IP, and I can specify the firewall port. I can do it separately once it is done, or I can do it during the creation of the VPC process. So I'll just keep two SSH and ICMP firewall ports for this particular VPC, and I'll keep the dynamic routing mode to be global. So what it happens is the cloud router, it run all the routes of all the region, not to the specific region. This is a way how we can create our custom VPC. And while creating a custom VPC, I specified the subnet by myself. There was another option, if you'll see, which has an automatic option. So what it does, it will create a subnet in each and every region, approximately all 40 regions, and it automatically assigns the subnet. So it's up to the person how he want to configure, and most likely the administrator wants to keep things under control, so they will tend to have their own subnet configured. So in this, automatically the subnets has been created, carved out, and assigned to that VPC02. We'll wait for this VPC02 to be provisioned. Once this is provisioned, we can see the subnet counts in VPC02. Here's the VPC02, and which has been automatically created, and the subnet has been assigned. So this is how VPC is created, and will validate the firewall rules. In here, we can see for 02, the port 22 and ICMP is open, and for port 01, ICMP and port 22 has been open. Let's deploy the resources in this particular subnet. Let's deploy the resources in this particular VPC01. So for that, I'll go in compute engines. I'll create the instance. I get sev1. In networking, by default, it goes to a default. In most of the environment, you will see administrator, they delete the default environment to keep the environment more sanitized. But I just kept it. I'll use VPC01 in central, and once I'm done, I'll create the sev1 server. Meantime, I'll create another sev2 server in west networking. Once we expand the drop down, you can see here we have VPC0201, and I have a US West 1 subnet, which is 10.2.0 done. I've created. So if we'll validate the IP, the internal IP which has been assigned, it is 10.0.1.2, the subnet which we have specified for the US Central 1, and for sev2 it is 10.2.2, which was assigned to just to confirm it is in same VPC. They should able to communicate, and since I have allowed the ICMP package, I should able to ping to each other. So first I'll confirm the IP in this one. I have 10.1.2 IP assigned, which belongs to central 1, and I want to ping to the US West 1, and it is communicating. So since ICMP has been allowed, so if in case I want to SSH, I can do the SSH to that particular host as well, because I have allowed the port 22. So the permission is denied because I am not using the keys. Otherwise, it would have allowed. If I have been would have imported the keys and used the keys to SSH to the sev2. But since this prompt is displayed, which means that the SSH protocol is allowed, let's try to do curl to HTTP this particular host, and I'll use port 80, and it is not working. It is going in black hole. And before we do that, I'll do the installation. I have installed the Apache. Let me confirm the services are running or not. So services are running. I'll run very same some command on the local server using port 80. So I am getting a response. Since I'm doing it to local, if you'll see the IPs of this particular server, IPA, you'll see it's 10.0.2.2. But when I'm trying to do the curl from here, it is going to the black hole. It is not reaching because of the firewall. So once I go and allow the firewall ports, it will start communicating. So I'll go in this VPC network firewall. I'll create the one firewall rule, VPC01 allow HTTP. I'll specify for the this example. I'm just specifying all. It's a range tag. I need to give a range. I'm allowing for all the network. I'm going to use the TCP port 80. There's no filtering for the destination. So I'll create this one rule. And once this rule is created, this is a HTTP port 80. I can then perform the firewall call. The problem is I have not specified the network, right network. The network is default. I'll just go delete this one and recreate VPC 01 HTTP allowed here. And this was the mistake which I did. I'll specify the all instances network port 80. Oh, sorry, all the IPs. I'm going to allow all the IPs. And for the port 80, I'm just going to create. Yeah. So now for VPC01, HTTP is allowed. Now I should try doing the curl, and I got the response. So this is how VPC is created, and we create the subnet within the VPC, and then we create the firewall to allow the specific port to communicate with the specific IP. And one more thing to tell, while creating the rules, we can specify the tags. If I specify the tag, I can allow the firewall port to the specific tag only, which we'll cover in future. Thank you.